You gotta do what? I gotta believe.
Traveled back to the mid to late 90s. We said, what can we do to really combine our two favorite pastimes, hip-hop and video games, and of course crazy Japanese stuff. And somebody put them all together and came up with Parappa the Rapper, the trippiest game of all time.
Parappa is a rhythm game featuring a rapping dog, and you have to basically press coordinating buttons to the rhythm. And if you do that, he'll rap correctly.
They shipped it in Japan, and this was in 1997, and it was an enormous hit, and people just really latched onto it. It was really a surprise because Sony still wasn't sure at that time if they were going to import it.
You know, they were a little bit afraid of, you know, the game coming and working out in the States because, you know, what if we had up until that point, you know, it was shoot 'em ups, it was more violence in video games. So you have basically a new genre coming.
And we ended up putting up a little trailer for it on GameSpot, and kids were just emailing right and left, I've got to get this, they've got to bring it to the States. And so Sony decided to take a chance and bring it out.
This was the one video game I may have looked at on the shelf and said, there's no way I'm ever going to buy this video game.
And then you played it, and what? It was awesome.
Hooked. Parappa the Rapper had you in the role of Parappa, trying to win the heart of Sunny Funny, his boo, his main squeeze, who he hollers at in the game.
For Parappa, he's insecure, but he likes his girl, Sunny Funny. She's a flower, he's a dog, and the only thing you have is your rap power. So if you can rap the best, Sunny will be yours.
As a rapper, he wasn't very tough. He was more of the Will Smith of the Japanese animated rap set. He did have a posse, yes.
His crew was, they were a scrappy bunch. You had Sunny Funny, incredibly sexy Sunflower. You had PJ Barry. I don't know what PJ Barry was on.
But of course, there's another guy who wants to go out with Sunny Funny, and he's like this big blonde dude with a chin. He's a very kind of proud, good-looking, cocky dog. His name is Joe Chin.
I mean, he isn't a bad guy. He's just too good. And nobody likes somebody who's too good at something. Trust me. I know.
Joe Chin was just a hater. Parappa, if this was real life beef wars, Parappa would have just offed him in a drive-by or just put a cap in him someplace right after a release of a hot mixtape.
It's funny, like, if you follow the levels of Parappa the Rapper, it's just like how Eminem rose to fame on 8 Mile
It's
Road
8
in
Mile,
Detroit.
yeah.
It's 8 Mile. It's the same story.
The first stage, you had to be taught by your onion-headed Mr. Miyagi-like character that taught you the ways of the rhyme.
He's in his dojo. His full name is Chop Chop Master Onion. The rap music starts, and then he goes, kick, punch, it's all in the mind.
Kick, punch, it's all in the mind. If you wanna test me, I'm sure you'll find the things I'll teach ya. Be sure to beat ya. Nevertheless, you'll get a lesson from teacher. Now kick, punch.
You know, he wanted the girl, and you know, like every teen pimp knows, you gotta have a car. And so he needed to get a driver's license.
The most underrated character from Parappa has got to be Mussolini, the tyrannical moose.
She's a driving instructor, and her song is just absolutely incredible.
Try this rap.
You know, the instructor's like, when I say boom, 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 you say bam, 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 with no pause in between. Come on, let's jam.
Step on the gas, step on the gas.
Now step on the brake.
Step on the brake.
Check and turn the signal to the left.
Check and turn the signal to the left. Now turn to the left.
And it's just like, yes! It's so infectious.
My favorite part in Parappa the Rapper was when you interacted with Prince Fleaswallow, who's like this giant Rastafarian frog.
And you need a job, you need some bucks, so you go to him and think, hey man, I need a job. So he gives you a job selling stuff at the flea market, and they rap.
In the rain or in the snow. In the rain or in the snow. Got the funky flow. Got the funky flow.
So Parappa, to further impress his girlfriend, or wannabe girlfriend, decides that he needs to cook birthday cake for her. So he turns to the mastery of Cheep Cheep the cooking chicken. Totally bizarre. At least the cooking chicken isn't cooking chicken.
Everybody, I'm wondering how you're feeling out there. You feeling good?
So MC King Kong Mushi is the idol of all of the youths. And Parappa gets to rap with him at the end of stage 6.
It's like this huge party, it's a big jam, you know, all the cool kids are invited, movers and shakers, and Parappa's invited to perform.
It's kind of like, you know, you're getting to rhyme with your idol.
In order for Parappa the Rapper to even think about having his career take off, he has to be arrested on gun charges and have PJ Barry stamp somebody at the Vibe Awards.
All of these characters are great. You know, the songs are great. You know, you just wanted to keep failing the level so you could go back and hear the songs over and over again.
I gotta believe.
Parappa is really a fun game to look at. It has a lot of a technique called cell shading, which makes it look very cartoony. It's just very colorful, simple lines.
A little known fact is the artist, the guy who actually graphically created Parappa the Rapper and all the characters, is actually a New Yorker, a guy named Rodney Greenblatt. So there are some American, touches to the game, but all in all, that game is Japanese. And let's just leave it at that. Is Japanese. And it just doesn't make any sense. It's crazy.
Japanese culture anthropomorphizes everything. There's an anthropomorphic dog wrapping. There's an anthropomorphic flower as the object of affection.
Dogs usually relieve themselves on flowers, so to have them actually try and win the heart of a flower with wrap, weird.
Groundbreaking. It doesn't have to make sense, You're a video game. That's what weird Japanese video games really mean. Do you know what's going on? Does it make sense? No, does it really matter? Not really. Are you enjoying yourself? Good.
I think in a way it recreated an energy that had been missing in games, and that is something that people remember from the old Atari days, that also they remember from the arcades where things were just fun. It was just about having a good time and laughing.
The PlayStation was dominating the market, and it was dominating the market with really gritty and very often violent and morally ambiguous games. But Parappa the Rapper, it's not morally ambiguous, it's just ambiguous. It was a lot of fun, it was adorable.
The Japanese hold that, in high regard, a game that's cute and fun and entertaining. It's not just for kids.
I think it really sparked a lot of game companies into looking at what was coming out in Japan and thinking, in a more innovative sense about what they were producing in the US and bringing to the US.
After Parappa the Rapper, the developers were trying to figure out how they could take the rhythm game up to the next level, and with it came Jammerlammy, the sequel.
Jammerlammy was kind of a minor character in Parappa the Rapper, and they gave her own spin-off, and she plays guitar. And she's got a band. It's called Milk Can.
Jammerlammy was almost identical to Parappa in terms of how you play the game, except that you can use the 2 trigger buttons to change the pitch of the guitar, so it's like your own whammy bar, so you can totally rock out.
And she wears cool clothes, and she's really kind of cool. If love between a boy and a lamb is wrong, I don't want to be right.
I played guitar for about a week, and then I quit and started playing Jammerlammy because it was a lot easier.
So it was good, but it was kind of the end of the line, because when Parappa 2 came out a couple years later, it just couldn't hold on to the fire.
In Parappa the Rapper 2, they decide to go back to the classic, Parappa hip-hop style, and this time Parappa wins a year's supply of noodles in a contest, and he eats too many noodles or gets some bad ramen or something, and noodles start to invade his consciousness. Everywhere he looks, it's noodles.
Yeah, keep in mind, Parappa's got to fight off all these noodles via his rap skills, but at the same time, he's also still trying to make a play for Sunny.
Sunny Funny makes a return in the second one, where she's still not giving it up to Parappa, and once again, not only fighting this noodle group, he's trying to get some buns in the process as well.
It had more of a story, but it just wasn't as infectious as the first Parappa.
Parappa the Rapper led the way to tons of other music games, and everywhere you look these days, there's another music game that all involves kind of repeating the steps that you see on screen. I think Parappa was really the first one of those.
Some other music games include Samba de Amigo, Bust a Groove,
Karaoke Revolution, and Donkey Konga,
Drum Mania, the keyboard game, and it was just like one after the other. And of course, look at what Dance Dance Revolution has turned into. It's turned into a huge, huge enterprise.
It takes it to the next level of, okay, you're doing synchronization, but now instead of using buttons, you're using your entire body. You're using a pad on the ground that you're jumping and dancing on.
And then the other one is Guitar Heroes, which actually came out pretty recently, end of last year.
And again, it's a music game, but it's based on using a guitar to input as opposed to a controller or as opposed to a foot pad. There's a lot to that. I mean, there's a lot to the history of a genre.
So it's, thank God for Parappa.
And everyone who's interested in music and games and hip-hop and dogs and flowers and noodles should play Parappa the Rapper.
Free PJ Barry, Thug for Life. I'm out.
Get the... I gotta believe.